नमस्कार हरियर टीममा यहाँहरूलाई स्वागत छ। अघिल्लो संवादमा चाहिँ आज पनि हामी पूर्व संवादका पात्र क्यानाडाका नागरिक ग्यारी मिलरसँग उपस्थित छौं। नेपालमा आएर नेपालका प्रकृतिसँग वेदको साइनो खोज्दै अनुसन्धान गरेर आफ्ना कृतिहरू संसारलाई दिइसकेका आदरणीय ग्यारी मिलर आज हामी सामु हुनुहुन्छ। उहाँसितको संवादमा आज हामी छौं। Namaste.
Namaste. Namaste.
We have opportunity to welcome Mr. Gary Miller to our Hariyal TV YouTube channel. We are here at Paramananda Sanskrit Gurukulam, Devbhartanaho, and we are very happy to welcome you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Gary Miller has 3 books.
Yes.
Panchase Pahad ko Vedic Yoga ko Prakriti. It is in Nepalese language.
Yes.
And it is translated. He don't know Nepali. He had written it in English and it is translated in Nepali. And it's second book, Sacred Nature and Himalayan Womanhood. And the third one is Rigvedic Annapurna. Rigvedic Annapurna. And I want to say that his 3 books are based on Rigveda and Nepali nature. How the Rigvedic interpretation are matched with Nepalese nature and Nepalese culture. It's the main subject of these books.
Yes.
Am I right?
Yes, that's quite true.
And you talk about mystic and natural symbolism.
Yes, yes.
Many works are done on mystic nature and Rigvedic symbolism. I think somewhere it's fantasy also.
Fantasy.
Don't you think so? Don't you think so?
You see, I wouldn't use the word fantasy. I would use the word yoga. When you do yoga practice, now once again, I don't know how to explain these things logically, but I chant to a wood fire as is described in the Rig Veda to do, right? In fact, this research is based in following the directions that Rig Vedic hymns give us to do in terms of yoga practice. So I have done this. In fact, I will go one step further. I am doing this research where Mandala 5, Sukta 19 was composed. So it's not only the chanting with a wood fire, it's also chanting it where the hymn was composed.
Like Mandala 5, Sukta 19 was composed there.
Yes, that is the conclusion I bring from the research, because the nature symbols in Mandala 5, Sukta 19 I have identified.
Can you explain that?
Well, I give you the example of a nature symbol. I mean, the most important one in terms of yoga is lap of the mother. That is in the first verse.
Maturupasthe.
Yeah.
Yes.
In the lap of the mother he sees. Well, his seeing is related to Mataputra, all right? The sun that sits in her center, that is the shape of a flame. Now, it's a lap because the outline of Annapurna is behind Mataputra, all right? So it looks like she's holding him in her lap, all right? And he is encircled in that way. That's an example of a Rigvedic nature symbol. Another example is the milk of the mother. Well, that's the Seti Gandaki river that runs through Pokhara.
Seti Gandaki.
Yeah, the Seti Gandaki. See, so you have to look at Vedic hymns in a mystic framework. It's not written for science students, all right? It's written for disciples and devotees. And you want to remember that in those days, these things were secret. If you weren't initiated, how would you know, all right?
That means your works should not be appreciated by science.
No, we don't want to go there. I mean, science does not help us, in fact. Science is really a barrier to understanding Rigvedic nature hymns or nature symbols because they want them to be logical.
Then how can your research be scientific? What type of methodology you can use?
You see, you still use the same methodology, but you don't limit it to your mind. You do yoga practice. And the yoga practice opens the mind to information that may not be logical, and for the most part is not. Another example of a nature symbol from Mandala 5, Sukta 19 is belly of the plenitude. Now, when you look at Annapurna from Meditation Hut ruins on Panchasi Mountain, there's a volcanic crater in front. Mataputra sits above a volcanic crater. Well, it looks like a belly. It looks like a belly. I mean, what? Hello. That's an example. So when you approach Rig Vedic hymns, you have to look at them not logically. You want to try and, like I say, you have to do some sort of yoga practice, right? And then the door opens because it's not a mental creation. Rig Veda hymns are mystic poetry. And to understand their content, because in the Rig Vedic age there was only nature, right? So the symbols are going to be in terms of nature. You have to look at it that way. You don't want to approach it from a modern perspective. And most certainly, you don't want to approach it through the eyes of the most famous Sanskrit scholars in India, America, or England.
Okay. And an interpretation done by devotee can be wrong also.
Yes.
Because how can we say that it's believable?
You see, if you can't photograph it, it's not true. There you go. Because nature is real. We don't have to fantasize it. We can take a picture of it.
Nature is real.
It's real, yeah.
But interpretation can be wrong also.
Can be wrong, absolutely.
For example, you have written that Panchase means Pancha Asana.
Asana, yeah, correct. Panch Asana. And then E is the female. So it's...
But there is Panchase.
You see, you have to allow. When it's a female mountain with a fluted peak, it's female, sorry, it's not A, it's E. Sorry. I mean, you gotta just be practical about this stuff, alright? It's like Dare Lake. They get Dare, no, it's Dare, Dari. On the top of the mountain is a female temple. What are we gonna call it? Dare. It's E. Because what is happening now in the Puranic age is the genders are being switched. Alright? I was just in Galeshwar. Galeshwar is a female tradition that now has, you can say, on top of it, a male gender.
Galeshwar is changed now then.
Well, we can't say it's changed. They use the same symbols, but you've got huge buildings and a Shiva temple and all the stuff, all right? It's holy because in this huge rock place, there's water. Water is always female. Sorry, you know. And on Bala Chaturasi, you sprinkle the grains and go down to the river. River is female. All right? What are we going to say? Now, the thing about the Rig Veda is that the genders are balanced. You don't have one without the other. All right? But they're balanced in a way that we don't find in the Puranic symbolism. Shiva is huge. Parvati is small. That's Puranic. That's not Rig Vedic. All right?
And what can distinguish the Rigvedic symbolhood and that Puranic symbols?
You can photograph it. So you can't photograph Shiva. Sorry. But you can photograph Galeshwar. I mean, that's the point. The Rigvedic symbolism is real. It's nature. Everybody can see it. And if you can't photograph it, sorry, it's Puranic. That's what we have to come down to. Because the main symbols of Puranic of the Puranic age are abstractions. You see, in the Rig Veda, there's no abstraction.
Isn't Shiva Rigvedic?
No. Shiva's not in the Rig Veda. No. Shiva's in the Puranas. That's another thing. I mean, I met some...
But we have several hymns describing Shiva, Rudra.
Rudra and Shiva are not the same. So you have to allow that the Rig Vedic age is different than the Puranic age. And the main difference is the goal. In the Rig Vedic age, we live in a divine manifestation. If there's something wrong, it's us, not the manifestation. When you get to the Puranic age, it's the other way around. The problem is the manifestation. We want to go to heaven or nirvana or wherever we want to go. We don't want to stay here. You've got to make that distinction. And I will say, I met the most famous professors in Benares. They don't make that distinction. I mean, I don't say anything to them because I'm hardly educated, but that's a major distinction to make. What is the goal of the symbolism? What is the goal of the tradition that is using the same symbolism? Because the Puranas use this, like Galeshwar. The Puranas use the same symbolism as the Veda. But the goal is very different.
then how Panchasi became Panchase, Mataputra became Machapuchre,
See,
and Tara, the white mother, became Annapurna.
You see, firstly, they are secrets. And if you're not initiated, you don't know.
For example,
And so we are in this Kali Yuga, and things are forgotten. Mataputra is the way it looks. We can photograph an upward pointing flame from meditation hut ruins. That makes more sense than a fishtail where we have to walk another day on the west side. Okay. That's the point. I mean, the Rigvedic stuff is very, very practical, down to earth, real. And I'm going to speak generally, please. I'm not a scholar. The Puranic symbolism is abstract compared to the Rigvedic symbolism. And so I give the example of Galeshwar. There's water. Hello,
Jaleshwar, do you mean?
Galeshwar from
Yes.
Beni up, 20 minutes up to Kali Gandaki
Yes,
River.
yes, I know. But you are saying that is just river. That means Jaleshwar. It should be Jaleshwar.
Yes. You understand that when the civilization left what is now Pakistan and moved to the Ganges River, even Sanskrit, the Sanskrit changed. All right? All of those things changed because we got another physical location. Is that, Okay.
And you are describing womanhood
Yes.
based on Rigveda. That means Rigvedic womanhood,
Yes.
which is fine in Himalayan range.
Yes.
And what about the feminism?
Feminism. You see,
Nowadays we listen so much feminism here and there, and can you compare with Rigvedic womanhood?
you see,
And
the
which is in the top and which is the bottom?
the concept of feminism is Western. All right? We have lost our association with nature. Now, everybody agrees nature is feminine. Everybody. All right? So here, when you come to Asia in general, and specifically in Nepal, where everybody accepts that the nature of Nepal is holy, the mountains are all female. I mean, I'm married into the Mongolian group. They don't need feminism. They don't need it. The men agree. That's the part that counts. In Canada, the men don't agree to women being highly respected. But here they do, because it's the female gender that feeds us. The mountains are female because they are seen as mothers. The villages plant their crops on their slopes.
You mean women are more respected than Canada in Nepal?
Absolutely. What? Absolutely. I mean, why does feminism come? Because they're not respected. In Nepal, they are respected because as mountains, they feed us. They give us life. I mean, it's practical. I mean, I live on a holy mountain. Why do they worship the holy mountain in Bala Chatradasi? They plant their crops on her slopes. She gives them life. What? Obviously, I mean, we'd want to say something about thank you very much, correct? Well, in Canada, we don't do that. We have lost our way, and I mean, many of the children think that food comes from the supermarket. All right, that's how far away it is, all right?
Bills come from machine.
Yeah, correct. So Nepal is really refreshing and refreshingly alive with reality, you'd say. Reality. I mean, nature is real. We lose nature, we don't last long. Right? So at least we want to be polite about it. All right? So feminism really is just a mental idea about things. While here, you don't need the mental idea because it's alive. The mountains feed us. Mother, female. Simple. And in Rigvedic symbolism, all aspects of womanhood are in the same symbol. Daughter dawn, sister night, daytime wife, growth's mother, vastness yogini.
Can you explain?
Can I explain? Well,
For example, vastness yogini.
okay. Now, in Sri Aurobindo translation, there is one hymn by Mamata. She is now the same name as the chief minister of Bengal, right?
Mamata.
Mamata. Now, in that hymn, the last phrase is that it's her, which is the female gender, her hymn, all right? Now, when you go to meditation hut ruins anywhere in the Himalayas, it's vastness. Sorry, we're looking at the female mountain in front of vastness. This is all practical stuff. We have to look at it in this way abstractly because people just don't go there. That's all. But when you go there, you go, my goodness, look at that. Hello. Daughter dawn, sister night. And you see, these are all associated with the mystic fire, to Mataputra. Right? And if you come visit Panchasi, you'll see daughter dawn and sister night, both associated to the mystic fire, send rays of light into the belly of the plenitude.
So you have mentioned that tradition of Kumari.
Yes.
Gade's tradition.
Yes, correct.
And did it connect to Rig Veda?
Absolutely. It's daughter dawn in the Rig Veda. Daughter dawn in the Rig Veda is the Kumari tradition in the Puranic age. They're the same. But once again, you have to look at these things. If you want to look at the Rig Vedic age directly, you have to look at it as a set of mystic poems. See, not logical, not based in all of our modern stuff, okay? And that's the main thing. And of course, I will say, you have to do some kind of Rig Vedic puja, not Puranic puja. Rig Vedic puja. Right? Now, I'm not suggesting...
Why not Puranic?
See, I can't say why. I can only say what I have done, and look I found Annapurna in the Rig Veda. Annapurna has been lost for thousands of years. How could someone like me find it? Oh, I'm not even educated. Right? I chant to a wood fire. Hello. There you go. That's all I can say. And there you are. It's the proof. Right? You come to Panchasi, I'll show you all the stuff, okay? And you've got it all across the Himalayas. But we are in the Kali Yuga, so it's not so...
The concept of Kali Yuga is also Puranic?
Well, no, I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say that we are in that cycle. You see, you have to understand also, in terms of the evolution of our species, we are in a period of mental development. Now, that mental development has brought abstraction to everything. That's the difference. In the Vedic age, Annapurna is the white, shining mother. That's just the way she looks. Okay? That's just the way she looks. Now, once you get into the Puranas, you got all this abstraction about stuff. It's not, I'm not suggesting it's not she looks any differently, but you don't consider it that way. Okay?
Yes. And people in Nepal say that women are discriminated.
Well, not in my group.
According to Puranas or Vedas, for example, Tej, you have written that Tej is the best celebration for woman power empowerment. But at the same time, people of Nepal, or feminists of Nepal, say that, it's so discriminating.
Well, it depends on what it's like in the house. In my house, women are given more respect than anywhere in Western civilization. And I've said earlier, the men agree to it. You're my friend, I'll say in my house, women are in charge. Okay? There's no need for feminism. The problem doesn't exist because they are still living the Rig Vedic age. Because in the village, I'm speaking about more village Nepal than city and town and modern educated Nepal. In the village, there's none of that. The Amatoli, when they say don't go down, nobody goes down. Finished. Right? That's a reality. Right? And nobody messes with the Amatoli. You go all this stuff. When the women meet and they decide something, bang, that's all there is. And these are army guys in my family. Yes, ma'am, like that, okay? They need potatoes, bang, they're out the door to get potatoes. So the question of feminism does not arise. Now, when these concepts of feminism arise, which are basically an abstraction, it's because in their house, there's no respect. But in my house, there's respect, Hello.
And I want to go to your home, Canada. You are belonging from a Christian family.
Yes, I'm born a Christian. Yes.
Then what are you doing with Rig Veda?
Well, firstly...
Why did you left that culture? Why?
Well, firstly, at least in the Christianity that we have in Canada, the yoga level of interpretation or the self-discovery level of interpretation is lost. All right? And if you want to go more deeply into yourself, at least in my experience, in my family, you cannot. So I left to look for some system of knowledge that takes us inside, rather than just, doing what Christian people do, right? And I found that when I got to the East. And you see, excuse me, I'm going to state my opinion here. Okay. Christ was a yogi, and he did some kind of yoga practice, but that's lost. And I'll say the biggest problem is what his disciples wrote. I don't know what it was like in those days, but they did not write about yoga practice. That's all.
Jesus was right, and his disciples are wrong.
I'm going to say that. But, careful, I'm not educated. No, but
it's your opinion.
It's my opinion, yes. Fine. And I will also say, I've been to Greece many times, and I went to the wonderful island of Patmos, where St. John wrote the Apocalypse. I mean, you're in the most beautiful place in the world, and you can write this thing about how the world's going to come to an end? Hello. It's got a cave and everything. So I just give that as an example that I do think that his disciples did not very carefully describe his divinity, put it that way, all right? And they described it in a way that it's lost.
Any messages to his disciples who are doing conversion in Nepal?
You see, conversion. We have to allow, the truth of things is hierarchical. Everybody's not equal, all right? And for people that do not bother or are not interested in self-discovery, I'll say, there are many religions that don't require that for your attendance. They just want you to do the things that the religion does. They don't go any deeper than that. It's not just Christianity. Right? I have to say that I do consider that there is a place for those religions for people that are not interested in self-discovery. And what to say, they will be lost listening to what I'm talking about. So that's how I look at it. All right.
Okay. And you studied about Annapurna, Vedic Annapurna. I didn't have any questions.
Okay.
But what did you think that I get new thing what this world doesn't know about Annapurna?
I'm sorry? Repeat it.
How did you get about Annapurna what the world didn't know?
Well, once again, there's no why. I can't, why am I here? I'm born in Canada. What am I doing in Nepal? I want to live, if you look at your life carefully, it's not so much why, all right? Because...
What did you found?
You see, I found actually that wood fire is a symbol for the mystic fire. And if you look at the Rig Vedic hymns, they actually describe a very, very careful perception of a wood fire. They describe it in great detail. I followed that. And those things, I can only imagine, opened my mind. Because I guess so. What else can I say? There are really, in terms of this subject matter, they're not much in the way of books. Okay? So basically, it's that, excuse me for saying like this, but everyone's got it. It's not as if I'm the only one in the world. Everyone, it was a species. Everybody's got it. But the things that remain alive are not so helpful except these ancient ones. Okay? And they do not require an education or all the stuff that the Quranic age has brought. It's a question of, I have to say it's a question of past lifetimes. I must have been here before. Goodness, what to say. But the thing I think is interesting, firstly, Annapurna is a female. That's the first thing. And Mataputta is a male. That's the second thing. Right? Now, when you put those two together, something happens. What to say? The separation of genders that we have in the West does not exist here. All right? At least at the mystic level. And we'll also notice in real life, the two genders together do create wonderful things. Right? And so I can only say that it must be there somehow. Okay?
You see woman's face or body on mountains. Like
In my book,
yes, in your book, you have described that about rice stack and
flowers on the top of the rice. Yes, correct.
and it is a feminine.
The rice stack looks like a breast. I mean, the main Bauda Gompa in Kathmandu is a breast. And they cover the nipple up with all this other stuff. You know, you have to, when you go back to the ancient period, women are holy. Not like the art. They're holy. All of them is holy. All right? Every part of them is holy. And if you travel, particularly in Asia, you find, Nainital, it's an eye shape. It's worshipped. It's, I don't know, whichever mother you want, but it's the eye of the goddess. So those, you can say, to use crude English, body parts are holy. And they're everywhere. And they're outlines, and you can see them everywhere. Okay?
Yes. You were comparing the white water as the milk of mother?
Yeah. Yeah, white. It's white colored. Seti means white. The Seti Gandaki, it's from the clay that is washed down from Annapurna in the water. It's white. And if, also here. Yep. You have to bring nature symbols into your yoga conception, because here all water descends. Descending water, whether as rain, whether as a river, whether as the Seti Gandaki, is a symbol for Shakti. Now we call it Shakti. In the Vedic age, it would be more the mother's force. Okay, so all of those symbols. Sitting in here, I can feel the Vedic stuff. Right? You go sit by, right now, right here. Hello. Look at me go on like this. All right. You sit by a river. You can sit by a holy Rigvedic river. It's the same thing. You see, and so these things come into you, but you've got to go there. See, it's no good sitting here. We want to go to the Seti Gandaki. We have to go to the Seti Gandaki and sit there. Yes. That's what this perspective is based on. It's based on nature experience, not sitting in towns and cities. You have to go there. And then all of these things open. What to say? Because Himalayan nature is holy.
And the mystic firewood is remaining nowadays also.
The mystic fire? You're asking me?
Okay. Because nowadays everything is changed. Because we can see that nobody is using wood.
Yes, correct. Well, to start with, nature is the same today as it was 5,000 years ago or 10,000 years ago in the Vedic age. That part is still there. So the nature symbols that we find today and can identify, we can say are from the Vedic age. Everywhere. I've been to China, Korea, Japan, India, Sri Lanka, all this, yes. Canada.
You have gone to Korea also.
Yes, twice. Korea. Korea is like Nepal with living holy nature symbols. But the thing about Nepal that is, wonderful is you have this yoga practice living in the villages. They cook their food on a wood fire. In my family also, in my house. Before they give you any rice, they put some back in the fire.
Yes.
Hello. That's described in the Rig Veda. Hello. And all the villages, everywhere they do it. Hello. You have to understand that keeps this Vedic symbolism alive. It's, alive. It's living. In my family, my wife, they all do it. Hello. All right. So because that is so much living, I can only imagine the effect is everywhere. Because that is everywhere in the Himalayas. Now, also, why is a tree holy? The tree gives the fuel for the wood fire that is the symbol of the mystic fire, and in terms of yoga practice, brings the mystic fire into you. That's why it's holy. Not because of wood and we build a house and all that stuff, okay? So all of those things are alive here. What to say?
Some other explanations, some other examples of womanhood find in Rig Veda and now available in Nepal?
Well, daughter dawn is Kumari, all right? Daughter dawn. Now, in the morning when you see the sunrise, the colors of fire are there. That's a symbol of you have to be simple. The colors of fire bring the association of fire. Same with dusk, daughter dawn, sister night. She takes the fire into her at night, all right? You got the colors of fire there at dusk. That's why the association of the mystic fire is with dawn and dusk, because the colors are there. So it's very simple. All right? That's daughter dawn, sister night. The daytime wife, in a Vedic hymn in my compilation, she's...
What is daytime? Wife?
Wife, yes. She's associated with sufficiency. All right? Well, at multiple levels of interpretation, there's sufficiency at every level. And wives, in general, look after that, don't they? They don't have to learn that, do they? They know it, all right? So that's another example of a Rig Vedic nature symbol for a holy womanhood that everybody knows. Just nobody bothers about writing about it. That's all. Right? And the growth's mother, well, obviously the mother in the fields, in nature, everywhere, new growth every year. Right? The growth mother. And that's also, in terms of yoga, that's a psychological growth also. Right? And then the vastness yogini, well, women that have higher than mental development, they're vast. And they don't talk about cooking rice. They have this large view of the world. So that is all in the Rig Veda and still alive here, but it has not been described in any coherent form. Therefore, I made the book. What to say?
Fine. We are at the end of this interview.
Okay.
And you have described your stops with the help of photography also.
Yes.
And photography are taken by you.
Yes.
Yes. You are a photographer also.
Well, yes, you can say that. Okay.
Yes. And we have some books here, Rigvedic Annapurna, Sacred Nature and Himalayan Womanhood. And in third one is Nepali, Pancha Se Pahad Ko Vedic Yog Ko Prakriti. And we Nepali people, we are connected with Yajurveda. Most of us are connected with Yajurveda.
Okay.
You are centered on Rigveda. Why?
Well, it's the first Veda. The other Vedas are based in the Rig Veda. I mean, Rig means first Veda, right? So the other ones will be a development from the Rig Veda, but in different directions, right? The soul of the Vedas is the Rig Veda. And see, there's no why. Why am I here? Why are you here? Why are we doing what we're doing? So you have to be a little careful about the why, because finally speaking, in mystic Himalayan culture, there is no why. All right? That's Puranic. Excuse me. All right.
So much thank you for
All right, you're welcome.
this opportunity to be recorded in front of our Gurudevaj. And I want to thank you a lot for this time. And we'll be back.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yes.
After some time also.
Yes.
And आजका लागि यति नै हाम्रा पाहुना मिस्टर ग्यारी मिलर क्यानाडाबाट हुनुहुन्थ्यो उहाँलाई पनि धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद यस कार्यक्रममा आफ्नो उपस्थिति जनाउनु भएकाले हुनाले र साथमा उहाँका साथमा नेदरल्यान्डबाट पाल्नु भएकी मारियोजी हुनुहुन्छ र हाम्रा आदरणीय देवकोटा दाजु पनि हुनुहुन्छ सबैलाई यो टिम सबैलाई धन्यवाद र विशेष गरी हाम्रा क्यामेरामा श्रील उपाध्याय एवं आदरणीय नवराज ब्रह्मचारी गुरुज्यू लगायत सागर कण्डेल एवं शंकर आर्याल सबै सम्पूर्ण टिमलाई धन्यवाद थ्यांक यू
You're welcome. Thank you. Good.